Dan Grummett is in Red Deer tonight. The vigil doesn't begin for an hour, but a sizable turnout is expected, Dan, for what will certainly be a pretty emotional gathering.
Yes, it's sure to be emotional, Aaron, and already we're seeing people start to turn out to the garden here in front of Red Deer City Hall. And it's really the culmination of an emotional week for this community, impacted by Dr. Reynolds' death because of the stories we heard of him impacting so many people in this community. We know at least 9 people are scheduled to speak here tonight, at least one family member of Dr. Reynolds, that being his sister-in-law, friends, colleagues, the mayor of Red Deer, at least one former patient. And up until tonight, the way people have been paying respects to Dr. Reynolds was to go by that growing flower memorial outside the Mediclinic where the tragedy happened early Monday morning. I dropped by there this afternoon just to watch, and a minute didn't go by that somebody didn't come by there just to pause and look at the memorial, maybe take a photo, lay some flowers down. I spoke with a patient of Dr. Reynolds who had him as a doctor for 5 years, said he had a heart of gold, always felt like he was listening, and she's come by the memorial every day this week to help her with the pain.
It'll never ever go away, but it will subside and it will get easier on a daily basis. I can't imagine what the wife and the children are going to go through. None of us can. But I know that there's quite a few of us that will stand behind the clinic, and will also stand behind Red Deer, because this is just wrong.
And you heard that woman mention Dr. Reynolds' family. Well, his wife, Amelia Reynolds, issued this statement today reading, "The girls and I would like to thank the community for their outpouring of support for our great loss. We ask for privacy during this tragic time." And of course, they will be on the minds and hearts of so many people watching here in person and over the internet. It is expected that the family will be here in person at this vigil tonight, Aaron, only adding to the weight of emotion everybody's feeling out here.
Yeah, you could just imagine, Dan. Okay, so for people who are going down or perhaps watching, what can they expect?
Well, they can expect to not be allowed into the area that I'm in right here. And that's not because they're not wanted, but because of COVID-19 and the maximum amount of people you can have in a certain space. The space I'm in right now that will leave by the time the vigil starts is reserved for family and doctors. And they're trying to cap that at about 200. Anyone else who comes down who's maybe a former patient or just someone who wants to pay their respects, it's asked that they stand in the garden, which is just sort of in front of me here, and observe from that point. It's asked that everyone who comes down here wears a mask. They certainly don't want this to become some sort of super spreader event. They will be handing out masks to those who don't have them. They're also handing out these ribbons, and by they I mean the Red Deer Primary Care Network, who's helped organize this vigil. This is their color. They're also asking family physicians who come down to wear white, a lab coat, a sweater, a shirt, in honor, in memory of Dr. Reynolds, a color he wore often over his decade plus here in Red Deer, Aaron.
Okay, Dan Grummett reporting live for us tonight from Red Deer. Thank you so much.
It's not the best time to be a statue, but this one is not contentious or controversial. It symbolizes courage.
That was his job to do, to stop the car. Happened to be, he got a bad car.
June 25th, 1990. 9-year veteran Ezio Ferrone was pursuing a pair of bank robbers down 124th Street.
It's a set of circumstances that just all went wrong.
Now retired Detective Ernie Schreiber was in the car ahead of Ferrone, but missed a turn down an alleyway, a turn Ferrone made.
Coming halfway up that alley, the city had blocked it off because they were doing construction. The guys were trapped. Mr. Folston got out and walked away, drawing Ezio away from the cover of his police vehicle, and then Cruz shot him from close range.
Ferrone was 33. The killing of an Edmonton police officer in the line of duty shook the force and crushed a family.
I still remember Ezio's mom coming in and walking down the aisle of the church crying for her son. That'll always stay with me.
Born out of the tragedy was this park in Ferrone's honor, a place EPS recruits come to reflect as they finish their training. But as more officers come on, more retire.
Ferone's former roommate and close friend worries about the impact that could have over time.
Less and less people who are with the police department actually knew Ez. And my greatest fear is that there'll be police officers come through that will go to the park, look at the statues, and it won't mean a lot. They won't draw a connection. To me, that's unacceptable.
As far as how the public perceives the park, it's a popular place to exercise this time of year, but there are still those who stop and reflect. Emil Tobias lives nearby and comes every day to pay his respects. He's watched others do the same.
Even a guy said to his boy, "You read it careful, you're gonna know the story."
The story of Edmonton's fallen Italian. The statue will remain. Remembering why it's here is up to us. Dan Grummett, CTV News, Edmonton. The sign says it all, and people on the front lines are seeing it firsthand.
Yesterday, someone behind this building was found to be unconscious with a probable overdose.
Stories like that are becoming too common. In May of last year, EMS responded to 108 opioid-related emergencies. Last month, that number was more than double. The increase prompted a warning from Alberta Health Services urging people purchasing illegal drugs to exercise extreme caution. EMS says the problem is citywide.
We're seeing everyday people. They might be trying a pill for the first time. They might be trying something that they don't realize is an opioid.
But things have gotten particularly bad in the last 2 weeks. Last Friday, EMS had 16 opioid-related calls, up from the daily average of 9. So the question everyone has is, what's going on?
The word on the street is that people believe that they're buying methamphetamine. And in fact, it has something in it that's causing these overdoses.
But in a notice to the public, Moskowitz Health Services says even people who are opioid tolerant and knowingly buying opioids are ODing. Naloxone kits have proven effective. AHS is encouraging users to pick one up. They're free at pharmacies. But Marlis Taylor says lately, first responders have needed more than one kit.
The number of doses of naloxone that we used to give would be 1 or 2 doses. Now people are giving multiple doses, sometimes up to 8 or 9.
AHS couldn't say how many of the overdoses proved fatal. Taylor knows of at least 6 presumed fatal overdoses in the last 2 weeks alone.
They are all young people. One of them I knew very well and have known for 25 years. That's tragic.
As far as what substance could be causing it all, Alberta Health says it's examining the data and will share more information when it becomes available. Dan Grummett, CTV News, Edmonton.
Well, this is as close as I want to get to a grizzly and 3 cubs.
But the distance between Justin Giesbrecht and these grizzlies wasn't exactly up to him.
I was just like, oh, let's get this on video because this is kind of a rare sight. I mean, I've seen a lot of grizzlies, but not with 3 big healthy cubs like that.
He'd also never seen a grizzly in this particular area near Edson, where he was deer hunting with his dad.
I was just surprised that it was starting to walk towards us, and then all of a sudden she turned right to the truck, and I'm like, uh-oh. Oh, I mean, wasn't expecting that. I'm glad we're in the truck.
And if you think that was wild, that's not even the best part.
And then all of a sudden she goes to the front, disappears. I thought she was just gonna walk by, and then all of a sudden, whoa! Oh my gosh!
Did you get a picture?
That there is just blew me away right away. I thought for sure she was gonna mark her territory on the hood of my truck at least, but.
It's estimated there are between 800 and 900 grizzlies in the province, a number experts say is at least stable, if not increasing. This particular sighting occurred in one of the province's 7 bear management areas.
I think normally a mom with 2-3 cubs like that would not just walk by a truck.
This carnivore specialist says at this time of year, a mom with cubs will have a den site selected, ready for hibernation.
They may have already been in the den and then come back out to try and find some more food while the temperatures are warm like this.
Fed well, healthy.
After the close encounter at the truck, the grizzlies moved on.
That got my heart rate going.
Giesbrecht and his dad left the area too. No deer, But what they did bag on this hunting trip was unforgettable.
Wow. That's amazing, eh?
Dan Grummett, CTV News, Edmonton. It's not your typical pleasure craft.
Can't tell you how many people I've run into over the years that have said, where do we rent these things?
This thing belongs to the Cossacks.
Are you guys about ready?
Yeah. The Raft festival it was intended for was canceled, so the family found another use for the double-decker.
We basically said, well, we still want to go out in the river and enjoy, so.
It's not exactly unsinkable, but can carry a sizable crew.
So far, comfortable capacity for these things have been around 15 people.
What's your job?
Sometimes I drive the raft.
Needless to say, it attracts attention.
I've had a number of people say, can we come?
This raft is one of a kind, but there are actually two others just like it, and when they're connected together, well, that's when they really turn some heads.
It looks like a contraption for sure, but it's awesome.
I love it, actually. Is anybody fishing?
And we've had $100,000 boats drive by, and they're more interested in what we got going on than they have.
It also caught the eye of Edmonton police.
So you guys have enough life jackets and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
A friendly chat, and the voyage continues.
We're doing about 2.5 kilometers an hour.
For the Cossacks, it's about family time and a chance to show friends the River Valley from another perspective.
And you talk about fun things to do. I find it fun to bring somebody out here who had no clue. They may be skeptical at the beginning, but when they're done at the end, they're like, I can't wait to do this next year.
For a raft mainly made of wood and styrofoam, these are the best types of waves. Dan Grummett, CTV News, Edmonton. Though there is plenty to see here, there are things we simply don't notice unless we look.
Yeah, I was just underneath these branches here, just lying right back here. And
Tim Osborne was out walking on his lunch break Monday. His gaze happened upon these bushes and something he'd never seen.
Well, I think it was disbelief. You know, it's a lynx is the kind of animal you dream of seeing one day if you're lucky in the mountains or, you know, walking through the forest.
Carrying only a cell phone, Osborne ran to his office to grab a camera.
You know, you certainly don't want to walk up to a sleeping lynx with your iPhone to get a photo, so stayed at a comfortable distance and zoomed in a little, and yeah, he seemed just quite content to just have a good sleep there.
Alberta sheriffs spotted the lynx as well and called Alberta Fish and Wildlife. An officer then came down to direct the lynx back into the river valley. But what would bring a lynx to a place like the ledge grounds? Experts say it's likely due to the multiplication of the jackrabbit population in Edmonton. The officer who attended says lynx are becoming more accustomed to Edmontonians. There have been 3 to 4 sightings in the city in recent years.
I was able to get up to it, you know, within 6 feet before it got uncomfortable and decided to leave. If you leave it alone, there's no threat or danger.
Lynx are typically shy animals that usually retreat to bushes or shrubs when people are around. In this case, the ones next to the lawn bowling green.
Just a lynx. I don't know why he's this far up. But then again, rabbits.
You know, pretty big looking cat, probably, you know.
And for Osborne, whose instincts told him not to get close, to not go for the wildlife selfie as we've seen people do, the lynx sighting was something he wanted to capture, but respect.
Just a reminder that they are there. You just have to stop and look, but this isn't somewhere I ever thought I would see it.
A rare encounter in this case only he was awake for. Dan Grummett, CTV News, Edmonton.